see something so fucking stupid, but you just kind of want to have to talk about it. You're kind of gonna just have to talk about it because it's funny. I thought this entire post was hilarious. I saw this like 2 minutes after it was posted the first time on the 15th, and I thought to myself, one of two things: either no one's gonna see this, or it's going to blow up, and she's going to get a lot of hate for just a basic thing. And this shit is really the only thing. This type of shit only seems to happen on this site, Tumblr, if it still exists, and what's the other garbage one? Fucking Reddit or whatever. I just thought this was awesome, and I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna watch this with great interest. And then fucking a bunch of stuff happened, and I'm like late as shit with the move, me playing through Monster Hunter, and then fucking my birthday, all that good shit. I kind of just forgot about it until I ended up seeing someone post a video going over it. So I want to see what they said. So we're gonna get into that just a little bit later, but it's interesting how this did in fact blow up, and people were sending her shit. I don't know if they still are because it's like the 21st. I just thought it was interesting, and the bigger picture that this one needs to be said, and two, people don't seem to like it, and there's never really a valid reason that I've seen either. So I don't know who this person is, but I see them around, and apparently they're big, or relatively big in the scene. So I thought this was kind of cool. But the way she feels about it and how other people already know that stupid shit like this was gonna happen, absolutely hilarious. I love this type of mentality. You say something basic and you know you're on Twitter, so you know for a fact a bunch of stupid people are gonna say stupid shit. But this is I would say the way to go, the way to go about it. But anyway, where was it? And then what? This is 4 hours ago. And tell me if this makes sense to you, because it's funny, because one of the comments under this post exactly is going to mention what the fuck I'm saying. So you like the animation. Sometimes I use edginess to make a point. She's definitely a misandrist. Like, let's... Okay. Keep in mind, it's not a black and white term. There's a large range to it. I picked up a long time ago when she did a video reaction concerning men's issues. What are you talking about? And this is the part, and I'm pretty sure you've already seen. This is the part that doesn't make any sense to me. What the fuck is this? What are we talking about? This is what makes me think that this is just bait. This was just supposed to be bait. Because if this is what you're in, this is what you're into. I don't I I don't I don't understand how you got that from the original post. I don't understand. So, also the fact she uses retard, that's fucking great. But also the thing right under, speaking is actually, let me do it the way they do. Speaking as neurodiverse person, congratulations, you've been officially used an ableist and branded yourself a bigot. Yeah, when I say speaking as a neurodivergent person, I'm making a joke. I'm gonna make a joke. Yeah, granted, I am neurodivergent, but no, you're actually a retard. You should probably do something about that. You should really probably do something about that. But mini rant aside, I wanted to see someone else's perspective on it because I didn't get a chance to do it one on one or two. But it's whatever. We'll go from there. I'm glad this person made the video. Who is this again? Leaflet and the sorry. So let's take a look real quick.
So there's this VTuber situation right now. Put on some music. There's a little VTuber situation right now.
Oh fuck!
With,
I forgot I'm in your face.
who is a VTuber.
Let me go.
True. So true. Apparently they made a post here that says that men deserve to be loved and treated right.
Basic, simple.
It's a very typical VTuber post. Well, not this specifically, but the style of the post is very typical VTuber. It's just the topic isn't typical. Usually the topic is like some other thing, like about some other social justice sort of a thing. But Kitsu just making this statement here. And it blew up. Of course it did, right? So you have a ton of people that got really upset. And if we look into their X, you can see a
Funny
bunch
German
of the posts.
Fox lady did nothing wrong.
Fair enough.
Let's see. I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, here. All of the posts that came out after it I mean, over here we've got a lovely person with a DM here. Isekai yourself, ugly, pick me.
Jesus.
But here you have this like I hope you get raped by men since you like them so much. Go buy.
I don't understand the mentality of this. Why? Like that, I don't get it. And also, the thing that I don't understand is a lot of the women that say this are just like regular, regular well adjusted women or whatever. And people use "pick me" as an insult, and it's funny because usually those are the women that are women. So those are the women that are in nice relationships with and they're happy and shit. So they don't have to be picked. They've already been picked. They're just they see it the way everyone else does. This hatred towards men makes zero sense. But I don't know.
Gun and isekai yourself, ugly pick me, like just
crazy.
wild shit. I wonder, like, man, what gets people to say this kind? Like, what makes people?
That's what I'm
makes
saying.
people like this? Then a lot of people need to take their meds. I mean, this is like I'm gonna be real with you guys. This is just X, and then
You deserve to get unfollowed and more. Pick me, scum of the earth. Damn. Wait, what? I hope the 2 seconds allowed for right-wing Nazi scum is worth it. I'm gonna stop right there. How? I don't understand. Like, why is this? Like, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, this is like exclusively like a lefty thing, but it kind of just seems like it's a lefty thing. And why? I don't understand. This mentality was part of the reason that what happened in the election happened. Just, who would have thought that, if you tell half the people that are in the country that you're a terrible person, that they're not going to like what you have to offer. So, and this just has other ramifications throughout life. So I just don't understand what is the point. Like, I don't get it. It's the only mention you'll ever get. Those same men you were seeking validation from wouldn't hesitate to spike your... Wow, Jesus. Jesus. I'm not saying that you've done this, but the fact you're so descriptive and the fact that you can say it makes me think that maybe you've done something pretty bad at some point. Because usually the people that scream the loudest have the most and worst skeletons in their closet. That's just a thought here. Just a thought.
In a nutshell, I'm not really surprised. Of course, that person has that banner. Then we have this post here by a person, whatever. I'm not it. You deserve to get unfollowed and more. You pick me, scum of the earth. And then she replies with, "I hope you find love in your life." That's a really good counter that. The
Remember,
funny thing is,
these are the people who call everyone else
yeah,
Nazis.
of course,
Yeah, on God.
Yeah, thank you for the bits. Of course, they call everyone Nazis. But you have here, just the absolutely legendary reply. "I hope you find love in your life because nothing pisses them off more than this. Than just kindness sets them off.
Yep.
I hope too." And then they reply with, "I hope that the 2 seconds of love from right-wing Nazi scum," yeah, Nazis, it's always Nazis, "is the only attention you'll ever get. Those same men you are seeking validation from wouldn't hesitate to spike your drink, grape you while you scream for mommy." I was about to say something. I was about to say, what about one day when you have a son? Do you think your son deserves to be seen and treated this way? But then I realized they probably won't have kids. I guess it doesn't work.
See, there's that. They probably won't have kids, and if they do have kids, because I've seen this, it's also from these type of people, that if they do end up having kids, if it's a girl, it's their child. If it's a boy, they'll abort it. That's their mentality.
I mean, that's how I see it. I mean, how do you feel about all of the men in your life, your family members and stuff? It's how do you get to a position where you just literally hate men like this? It's deranged. It actually started with this post here. So we've got this one right here. I legitimately had people unfollow me over this. I believe it, honestly.
Yeah.
I've had the same thing happen to me over similar issues. So 100% can see that being the case. It's just retards. True.
It's just retard.
Bro, why are men not allowed to love her?
Actually, I feel like I should have said this before. As a certified professional card-carrying retard, we do not accept them. It's they're not us.
Respect, I don't get it. it's so weird because
What's really fuck up is that some of these people have sons.
yeah, I mean that's
Oh
terrible.
God!
The crazy thing about this is that the people that always do this, and like this happens all the time, the people who rage out over this kind of thing are always the people that try to push the narrative that they're the truly kind and caring people. Like, oh, I care so much about LGBT.
They're so tolerant. They're so understanding and empathetic. If it's to the correct person, because if it's not, you will be eaten and thrown to the dogs. That is how they work, and I don't understand why or how. But I mean, I think it's kind of fascinating because I can't wait for 10 to 15 years to come back to stuff like this and just see if it's still a thing. And if it's not, be like, yeah, these are the people that did this type of stuff.
LGBT issues, trans issues, Palestine, Ukraine, etc. They'll put all the flags in there. And yet they're almost always the most hateful people. And it's wild. It's like, I don't know if it's projection or if it's just something wrong with their brain, but they end up being the most vile hate like people that are harboring like intense levels of hatred. Almost
I hate to cut you off, but I feel like it is simply because they need something to fight for. Because there's just like nothing to do, believe it or not. So they take on these things and they think that they're super righteous for doing that. And then when they find people that are against it, they assume that they're bad. And they think that the only way that they can get through to them, or well, not even really get through to them, but the only way that they can get what they want is by being mean and despicable human beings. Because it's super easy. It's super easy to never have to engage with anybody if you call people a Nazi. You know what I mean? Like, they'll label you as something, and then they don't have to. They'll act like they don't have to interact with your argument because they just are going to assume and present you to other people who don't know what's going on as someone who's completely irrational. You know what I'm saying? It has to be something like that. That, and there's something mentally wrong with them as well. It's like a combination of all of those things coming together. That and like never being told no, like at all. Like there's no shot. But that's just a hypothesis. I don't know.
almost every time. Yeah, the compassion and empathy crowd. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They never have any idea what they're talking about either. You think it's a mental health issue? I
Has
think
to
in
be.
some cases it can be a mental health issue, but I think the issue is more societal. I really think it. Neko Hella there says it's a social plague. I think I agree with that. I kind of do see it more as a social plague. And again, like I talked about this
Human
before.
brains release bonding and reward chemicals when grouping together for witch hunts. Which makes
True.
sense cause the ones that didn't have that trait wouldn't have been in the group and eventually would have become targets. So these people are addicts getting a rush from being hateful.
Yeah, I can
Hateful.
100% see that. And again, I've seen this before. Like I said, like
Isn't
on
about
on
time to
Tumblr.
make asylums great again?
I don't know necessarily all of the people are actually traditionally crazy, like in like a medical sense. You know, everyone should read classic feminist books to understand why hate man is the real goal. Again, like I saw a lot of this like 10 years ago, like even longer than that, like coming out of places like Tumblr. Like Fishy says, does this mean a society telling me I am disposable and to be thrown away is wrong? I don't think. I think it's wrong to tell anybody that, really. Like there's a lot going on here, right? It's like a lot of these people, they only really care. They only show that they care about people only when they're useful to them. And again, like the best example I have of this is during the election. Latinos mattered like a lot. And then the instant they all voted for Trump, it was like, yeah, go get deported, don't care.
Oh God, dude. It's also like that as a black person. It's also like that in the black community. As soon as you don't go with the narrative, you are useless. They just try to treat you as if you were no longer black. Fuck. Goddamn. They treat you as if you were no longer black. And it's the weirdest goddamn thing. But I feel like all of this combined is the thing. But also, I feel like it's a type of new psychopathy. You know what I'm saying? Because like, there's no possible way that you could do the same thing. Oh, because these people will virtue signal about any goddamn thing and every goddamn thing until it's not the thing of like the week or whatever, and then they'll go to the next thing. Because like you see how fast they forgot about Ukraine as soon as Gaza showed up. So whatever the next big thing will be, like I guarantee you that they're going to drop Gaza and then go to the next goddamn thing, and that's just how it is. But I think, yeah, I'm pretty much on board with that. But it's a culmination of all of those things combined. I don't think it's like more one thing than another. But also, you do have to realize that this shit's only online. Because like, if you were to go outside, which these people apparently do not do, but if you were to go outside and say some shit like this, people would look at you like you're like vehemently retarded. And not even like a me retarded where I don't get like social cues from other people. You know what I'm saying? Our emotions don't make sense, like at all. No, people would just be like, "Oh yeah, you need to you belong in an asylum." Well, that's just a ridiculous thing to say.
It's wild. Like it's crazy. Gex says as a Latino, it's eye opening to me. Yeah, angry and screeching ones. They don't spend time with their families. They spend their time terminally online, the social media, looking at. I wonder if this really is just like kind of a social, like a social psychohazard. Basically,
Yeah.
people who all hate their families, they congregate online. They make a group to bitch about it, and then in order to like, and then so you join this group, and then they start to tell you the little things that your family does, and they start to chip away at your armor and make you hate your own family too. Because I'm experiencing like sort of the same thing in my family actually.
To think all
But
of
see, it's not even like it would be that, but it's also not even just hating your family. It's also hating yourself too, because that's how you get, especially the dudes that are like, "Oh yeah, all men suck." Like picture for a second a bunch of people online telling you you need to hate yourself for existing because you have testicles. Crazy. And they have such low self-esteem that they go along with it. Like that is a ridiculous form. That is a ridiculous form of self-hatred. I don't even know what it is. But honestly, when I see people like this, and I feel like more and more people need to adopt this. I mean, again, I'm not saying I'm right, but I would say, in my opinion, you need to feel apathy for these people. Because well, what else are you supposed to feel, bro? Like, this is actually insane. There's something wrong with you to the point where you're going to take it out on everyone else. You find someone happy, you find someone doing whatever it is they want to do, saying whatever they want to say, and literally has nothing to do with you whatsoever, and you have to go out of your way to try to make them feel bad. I don't know, bro.
of this would have been contained if Tumblr never banned the
Not for
R18
me,
stuff.
not with me specifically, but like my brother. And
And
I
that sounds
wonder
off.
how much
That chatter's
I
right.
might be going a little crazy here, guys. Like how much of this is related to like the institutes of mental health, institutions of mental health that we have, like therapists and stuff. And I'm not saying that it's always bad. Obviously there are cases where people do need help. I'm trying to think of it in terms of like what I understand because of like my own experiences. You have a problem. Okay, you have a problem, you hate yourself, you hate your life, you
Yep.
go to a therapist, and maybe you find something from talking to a therapist that makes it not you. Is that what's because the truth is like even with families that are healthy, families that love each other, even in those cases, you're gonna have disagreements with people in your family, right? You're
Facts.
always gonna have it's never gonna be 100% perfect harmony. Relationships with people is always like a give and take, and there's always points of pressure that occur between people. But if you can get underneath one of those points of pressure and then make that the reason why your life is a mess, then you give a convenient thing to blame. And guys, I'm not a psychologist, okay? I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist. I'm thinking about a lot of the experiences I've had in my life with people that have had therapy. And it might be a certain like new wave kind of therapist that's doing this. The iron
True, I can see that, but also don't forget the fact that when they find that point of pressure, they get under it and expose it or whatever, and they use that to blame as to why they don't like their family. Don't forget that they take the moral high ground and they assume that they are better than you because they care about other people and they think that you don't. So then they find other people that are like that. And unfortunately, online is a very, very, very easy way to find people that think just like you. And so a lot of them will culminate together, and then you have Twitter and Reddit and Tumblr, because it still exists, I think. Tumblr still exists, right? Whatever.
Tiger says, in all honesty, I went to a therapist and their advice was that the problems were the world, not me. I called them a quack and enrolled in martial arts, and that decision changed your life for the better. Yeah, because martial arts teaches you discipline. Martial
On
arts
God. Yeah, on God.
is a lot better than just learning how to protect yourself in like kung fu. And, it, martial arts teaches you a lot of discipline, I think, which is
It teaches you a lot of discipline. It teaches you how to work with others. It teaches you self-control. It teaches you so many different things. It also gives you companionship and whatnot. Because now you and the other people in the class have something to work towards, and you all are coming from different places, different colors, different. Sometimes in some of the places that I did Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu, different languages. Like the dude that taught me leg kicks to like a fucking fierce degree was French. The dude that taught me elbows, he was Ghanaian. A dude that was teaching me, I don't think it was the anaconda. I definitely wasn't the guillotine. Which one was it? Either way, he taught me he taught me another submission. He was Brazilian, so it's like it's just a bunch of people coming together with a common goal, and you're all trying to get better, and also just exercise and going outside and talking to people just makes your life better. That's just how that is, and it doesn't matter how many studies you'll see. There's just a lot of these people, like the people that we're talking about, that just won't do anything like that. So, God, martial arts is fucking amazing.
really important. Your therapist told you to get a divorce? Yeah.
Paladin Josh donated $13.37.
Yo,
Yeah,
Josh,
I
thank
see
you
it
so
all
much.
the
Go,
time.
Josh.
It's this weird cycle. People who are the biggest advocates for therapy have been in it forever and never get better and just become walking advertisements and repeat all these same buzzwords.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the
Damn.
tip. Thank you. I really
True.
appreciate it. I apologize. And I mean, again, I'm not saying that like there's definitely cases in which it can help. Man, actually, it just seems like such a fucking landmine to me. You could get a therapist that just fucks you up even more. You know
True.
what I mean? I've recently looked into intensive therapy. In Canada, I'm unable to find a therapist that doesn't have the mind virus in almost every line of their profile. Well, the thing is too is, man, I'm going like kind of deep into this, but the other thing too is when therapists have you, they have you at your most vulnerable, right? Because you're
True.
sharing shit with them that like absolutely makes you feel like trash. It's like this, it kind of breaks down like all of your, normally like when you go out in public or you're with your friends, you have some level of like armor, right? You don't tell everyone everything. Again, you keep things to yourself and you have a certain level of like protecting like what actually bothers you, but you don't do that to a therapist. So it's like if there was a therapist that actually did have bad intentions, like let's not even take away the intentions part. Like let's say they actually think it's the right thing, that they were trained and that was the right thing, but all it does is fuck you up more, right? Shama says, I think the
True.
reason this has grown to such prevalence is not because there's a sudden surge of increasingly crazy people, but as a kind of overreactive social immune response. People start behaving to avoid being targeted and yelled at by really crazy people. Do that long enough, more people start to join the immune response, normalizing and turning those people into attackers too. And yeah, the thing is too, with like the rise of social media, it's a lot easier to see. It's a lot easier
True.
to see, and it's a lot easier to find people that you agree with. If you don't expose yourself to
Yeah.
people that you disagree with, then all you're gonna do is find a bunch of people that are just yes men, right?
Bro, on fucking God. It's funny because I would tell people this on my 29 years on this planet. I've been to 48 states, Canada, and Mexico. And some friends that I have, I vehemently disagree with on damn near everything, but we're still friends. Like, dude, so many people will not expose themselves to anything that makes them feel even the slightest bit uncomfortable, and then they become this. But also, I feel like this what the chatter said in the video, not like I'm streaming or anything, but in this person's video, yeah, it isn't like there's a surge of them. It's just a bunch of them were already crazy and you didn't know about it because also the rise of the internet. And then now that the internet's around, as this person said, yeah, they can find a place to be. And it always seems like there's way more of them than there is you, because a lot of people I've noticed will say, well, the thing is they won't say anything because it's just like, oh well, that person's stupid, and they'll move on about their day. But the person who said something, like in this instance, Kitsu, the person that said something won't see those people. It's the silent majority thing, because I thoroughly believe that the majority of people think that saying something like that is completely normal. But then when they see like stupid people saying a bunch of unhinged shit, they're not going to get involved, but they will agree with what the person said. So it always seems like there's way more of them than there is you, which is unfortunate, but just kind of how it is. I thought. I mean, what do I know?
It's all like a big hug box, a big echo chamber where everyone's telling you it's not your fault. And you see this with like many things. I mean, let's just use let's use health and weight for an example, where you'll have a bunch of people who are like super fat and unhealthy, and everyone's saying like, "Oh no, you're fine. You're just beautiful just the way you are." And then you start to normalize it, and then nobody wants to fix it because they don't have to. It's not their fault, it's society's fault. And that's not to say that you should be mean to people who are like that, but I mean, encouraging it is a completely different thing. It's kind of like what I said with things like porn, for instance, porn and degeneracy. Am I gonna go out and like get in people's faces for like liking hentai? I'm not, but like, am I gonna also pretend it's the best thing for everybody? No, of course not. It's obviously not good for people. In the same way that like eating too much is not good for people. In the same way, doing nothing with your life and playing games all day isn't good for people. It's not something you should encourage. Sorry, I kind of went on a fat tangent there. I think someone asked, why do I think this is happening? And it just turned into that long ass tangent. Anyway, we can keep looking at some more of these actually. And it just looks like they have a bunch of posts kind of along these lines. I had people say things like, you must have had a great father. I grew up with a physically and mentally abusive stepfather. I did not have my fair share. This is the crazy thing too, Jesus. Is some people are kind of unable to separate this out, right? It's kind of hard to do, to be honest. Like, I am a little bit sympathetic to people that have had that kind of case, and then you kind of see a pattern, and then it makes you distrustful of people. And everyone's like this, right? It's the same. Ironically, it's kind of the same thing as like things like racism, which these people obviously would fight against, right? But it's kind of the same thing. One of our superpowers as humans is pattern recognition. We're really good at that. So when you see a bunch of patterns, like you see a bunch of people fit like a certain pattern of like somebody who has like victimized you before, it makes you weary of everyone else that fits that same mold. And it's like basically like they're saying that like you must have had a great father. So they're like, I guess people saying that like they're like that because they have a bad father, but then you're lumping all men in with that, right? What's the difference between like you have, you know, your father who is a man who was abusive to you, and now you think all men are evil? What's the difference between that and you got mugged by like, I don't know, an Asian person or a black person or a Mexican person, and then you think
asking the right questions. Unfortunately, they do not care. As someone who is afraid of women for literally the second part of this, yeah, just because it happened doesn't mean that they're all like that. All right, and yes, because of that, you are going to treat people differently. You know, you are going to recognize patterns, and you are going to, you know, stay away from certain people and all that kind of stuff. But to then lump them all together is just a straight up lie. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's also a statistical improbability. Right? It's like, look, let's bring math into it for a second. That's just how it is. Despite what has happened to me, and despite what has happened to Kitsu, apparently, and despite what has happened to whoever this may be, we don't do that. Because we realize it's wrong. So, it's crazy that these people, and as this person also pointed out, that if you were to change the person in question or change the race in question, well, you'd sound insane. You would immediately be against it. But it's okay now. So that's why that's another reason why I feel apathy for these people. They don't actually stand on anything, like at all. They just want to get mad at somebody because it makes them feel better, I suppose. And I kind of feel like it doesn't make them feel better. You know what I mean? Like, because if it did, after a while, you just wouldn't get the same. Well, no, okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, even if you did the same thing after a while and it didn't give you the same result, the result you were getting was a good result, so it would encourage you to do it more. I'm gonna have to think about that one.
thinking that like, oh, all black people are like that, all Mexican people are like that, all Asians are like that. It's literally the same thing. And those are the people that like yell about that stuff the most. Yep, and here this says, I grew up with a physically and mentally abusive stepfather, and I did have my share of sexism, as well as, I'm not gonna lie, every time I see this, I think something awful, but I know what it is. But yet I do not generalize men. I have some nasty comments over the past 24 hours, but I got about 100 times more positive DMs. Saying all men do this is sexist, misandrous, and just a straight up lie. God, great people. Oh, this is nice. Saw your comment on stuff generalize men. I have some nasty comments with great people. Oh, this is nice. Yeah, saw your comment on stuff with men helped me feel positive myself today, so thank you. Sorry you had to also deal with negative comments as well. I wish you every
see stuff like this. This I can almost guarantee you that this is a guy that relatively young is trying to find his way in the world, and every time he goes online, he sees shit like this, where people are just out here, not even, I wouldn't even say like supporting men or really anything like that, just saying something basic, just a regular common viewpoint. And then this person is also seeing all the vitriol that comes with it, which makes them feel bad. So this person has 3 ways to go. He can either, 3, maybe 4. He can either turn into an incel and hate people, specifically women. He could do what I did and realize that this is just bullshit and to really not worry about it. It took me a while, but I finally got there. Or he could go through the I hate myself and then turn into one of these people. So there's only one good option, and the other two seem to be way more prevalent than the, well, I mean, not really, but you hear the 2 bad options more than you hear the regular normal one, because, well, you're just a normal guy, you don't have to worry about it. You're not fucking insane.
Great day and take care. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good people in this world, but again, like, as humans, we focus on what's negative. That's just kind of psychology, right? There could be like, and this happens with everyone, including myself. I can get like 49 good comments of like, wow, like, I really like this, like, great job. And I'll have one guy that's like, you're the fucking worst. Like, you're the worst, fucking pick me, piece of shit. Like, you're stupid. Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about. You're fucking racist. I'll get like one comment like that. And that's like the one that I read. And that's the one that sticks with me. You know, like, I think it's just human nature,
that, and I feel like just, again, not to, I'm sorry to cut you off, but also, I feel like humans are relatively naturally combative when it comes to things that they believe are true and correct, which is something that they do, but they take it to an insane degree. So we like to focus on the negative. I mean, that is just how we are, but also we like to focus on the negative because people that are, just regular, normal people are open to having their minds changed. And whenever we get a negative comment, we kind of, again, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I kind of want someone to be like, well, I disagree with you, and this is why I disagree with you. But usually it's just like, yeah, you should probably kill yourself or whatever. Or, why, I'm not going to actually use the hard R, but you're a nigga or whatever. I get that a lot, but blah, 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 blah. It's not important. But I feel like that's also something. There has to be something there too. I need to like articulate it better, but I feel like there's something there too, because I'm very small in this this whole VTuber thing and making content creation. Well, I was helping people make content like in 2014. I just never made any myself till now, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I feel like people are naturally combative to when people say that they're wrong, because people don't like to be wrong, and it's a really humbling experience when you are wrong. So I feel like just ever so slightly, because your brain focuses on the negative, you think that, oh yeah, well, if this person has something negative to say, they might explain why. They never explain why, and then it's just like, well, now that sticks in your head type of deal. I think I would have to again, there's got to be, there's probably more to it. I'm just not explaining it because I'm fucking retarded, but like, there's something there. I feel like there's something there. That's all I'm trying to say. Fuck it.
It's just human nature to focus on the negative. Yeah. Ninja Tanuki says, focusing on the negative is a survival instinct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, another one here. apparently someone got like an own on them saying that I hate feminism, by the way. Girl, you need to shut the fuck up, says this. Wow, they have the same name. Kitsu says,
Oh,
I
no.
hate feminism, to be honest. Based.
Yeah, it's kind of based.
I've already stated this, but this is what I mean. Modern feminism. Obviously, this is what we're talking about. We're not talking about like women should have the same rights as men. Like, obviously, that's already been done. We're not talking about that. We're talking about like new feminism, right? Like
Yeah.
wage gap sort of stuff, wage gap, abortion, all of these other things. That yes, I don't like any of those either. Like super sexual promiscuity, like all sorts of those things. I've already stated this, but modern feminism is toxic and not needed anymore in the West. I agree. The first wave of feminism was amazing, and if you can't realize that modern feminism is toxic, then you're part of the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Second wave feminism, and depending on, I don't know where it like would cut off, but like third wave feminism, I think was also kind of nice, and then it started to get toxic, kind of like at the end, and then like the fourth wave feminism is like what's really fucking people up. From at least from what my mom says, because my mom was like 70, by the way. So my mom's old, so you know, when that was shit, when that was happening, she was like in the shits. So I was like, and she's slowly coming to grips with that. The feminism that is now is not what she was fighting for. So if I mean, hey man, I don't like it's. I'm talking from her mouth.
I agree with this pretty much. Yeah, it's good of her to explain herself there. A lot of modern feminism is just man hating. The funny thing is like the
Yeah.
old school feminists are actually old school feminists that are like kind of follow more of the equality between men and women. A lot of them have shifted over towards men's rights actually, which is pretty funny because
That I did not know.
they're the ones that are noting that like a lot of men are being left behind in society and
Oh,
not
damn.
cared about, which is true. Call me a pick me if you want, but I have friends that are men. I have family members that are men. My dad is a man. I care about them and I don't want them to be treated unfairly. I don't see what's so crazy about that. It's so obvious to me. Like, do you want a random person going up to your little cousin who's like 10 years old? That's a little boy, and saying like you're gonna be fucking toxic when you grow up. You're gonna be the worst piece of shit. And you're gonna go out there and you're gonna rape a bunch of women. Who wants that? You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. One thing I will say though, one aspect, and this also applies to women on like a different level. I'm not gonna talk about the woman version of this for now. I'm gonna specifically talk about men. Men natural inclinations, obviously, as human beings, those inclinations, like masculinity, right? You know how you've heard of toxic masculinity and like how there's a lot of negative traits associated with men. The problem is a lot of those aspects, the specific aspects that you see, like the negative aspects, the drive in that direction is natural, and men have to be channeled, whether that's through having a good mentor that teaches you how to be a good man, or a good father, or a good brother, or whatever that is. Those inclinations have to be channeled towards good. Otherwise they shift towards evil. And the same thing occurs with women. So
that shit happens, and it's funny because I heard someone say today. I think I forgot who said it. Yeah, but this modern wave feminism made entertainment. That's just how it is, and it's unfortunate that there are a lot of men that don't have fathers. But yeah, this is what happens when men don't have fathers. They turn into fucking monsters.
Again, I'm not making like this isn't a specifically man thing. Women have their own version of this. You've heard toxic femininity, right? It's the same thing. It has to be channeled, like the nurturing aspect of women has to be channeled into something. Otherwise it becomes it corrupts itself, right? And it's the same thing with men. Again, like the nature of like the aggression, the trying to take care of things, all of that has to be channeled towards good. Otherwise it shifts towards evil. And again, that's just the natural inclination of things, right? Bad masculinity simply isn't toxic, it's destructive. The use of the word alone implies it's a concept born of the feminine framework. No way you have a traditional Christian family. I wouldn't say that. I mean, we love each other, even if we have differences. And I think that's kind of part of being a family, is like having differences and being able to reconcile them. It's not always
Fair.
perfect, and people are not always perfect. And it's learning that not everyone is perfect and accepting that about people is kind of how you grow in your relationships with people. That's why you need positive role models, models that are the same gender as you. Yes, and that's why
True.
you have
I'm
like
glad.
a lot of problems with young men that don't have a father in the home, right? Anyway, going more into this. Yeah, I agree with this. Actually, I actually like unironically agree with this. I don't like modern feminism. It's terrible. It teaches both women and men to not be responsible for themselves. Society in general actually teaches you this, to not be responsible for yourself. You're not responsible for any of the problems that you have in your life, and like, you know,
Mhm.
fuck it, the government will take care of you. It's so many. It's just a lack of personal like responsibility.
Equality, sadly, is far from obtainable in this day of age with how social media, toxicity on both ends, and many other factors continually keep things ripped apart.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
The problem, guys, is every time I talk about this shit, I get like slightly emotional. It's a woman thing. I get slightly emotional, and it's like I start to like almost cry, and I have to like hold it back, and it makes it really uncomfortable for me to talk. I start to like kind of drone on because like I'm right on the edge of that, you know. Anyway,
Yeah, that's understandable. Uh, I've noticed. Okay, so I don't know how to say this because it's like I don't want to come across as sexist, but it is kind of interesting that I'm starting to see like a rise in women saying that I'm feeling emotional. It's a woman thing, and I'm like my my immediate reaction is whenever I hear a woman say it, I'm getting emotional. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's you know, because you're a woman. But like, I feel like that's bad though. Like, I was like, I feel like that's bad. But like the thing is, since we're sexually dimorphic species and our brain chemistry is different, I mean, it kind of like, you know what I mean? Like I don't. Cause like, oh, look, I'm not gonna say it. Like that's all I'm saying. Like you know, like you know how like white people aren't gonna say the N word. Like I'm not gonna say like classic woman moment. But also at the same time, I don't know. There's just a lot of things that I would like to ask, but I don't want to like come across as like fucking a terrible person. But it's just because I've never got a chance to ask. You know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking. Whatever. It popped in my whatever.
because it gets me kind of emotional
I'm
to
retarded.
think
Leave me
about
alone.
the whole thing because it's fucked up. It's really fucked up, you know. Okay, yeah, just more like it's pathetic. You're desperate, so sad, man.
Wait,
Dude, she got a lot.
wait,
It gets me
wait.
kind of emotional to like it's
That's funny. That's okay. You're so pathetic and desperate and sad. Yeah. All right.
it's pathetic. You're desperate, so sad, man. Dude, she got a lot of these. You're dumb as
Jesus.
fuck and wouldn't be allowed to be a VTuber or have any of the BS you do without feminism. By the way, well, here's the thing. You're conflating. I mean, this is true. You wouldn't be allowed to be a VTuber or be any of the BS that you have without feminism. I mean, it's true, but they're conflating like the equality part of like traditional feminism with like the kind of neo feminism, right? And they're using that as a shield. Oh, you don't. It's like, oh, you don't agree with the wage gap? Well, you must be against women voting then. You must be against women's equality because you don't think that, even though it's not even related. Isn't it weird how society
Straw manning.
wants women to take traditionally masculine roles and wants men to take traditionally feminine roles? What if part of the mental health crisis stems from the confusion of what it means to be a man or be a woman? It's possible because men
True.
have interests and are inclined towards certain jobs, and women are the same. Like women like certain, like in general, and again, this isn't every woman. There's always going to be like outliers. There's always going to be fucking weirdos like me. I like D&D and war games and guns, but that's not the norm. And like, can we accept that it's not the norm? And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not inherently a good thing, and it's not inherently a bad thing. It's just weird. Is your tiny mind even familiar with what's happening to female people in Afghanistan, Korea, any nation under Islamic regime, grooming gangs in the UK? You're despicable, and you speak from a position riddled with privilege. Just because you have it good doesn't mean others do. Wait, what are they talking about? So there's bad culture in these places? Is that what they're saying? There's bad culture in these places, but then that's a man problem? That's fucking weird. You guys want to know the funny thing? Let's say that they're right. Let's say that there are men that are doing these things, which there are. Who's going to do something about it? Who is it, guys? Who's going to do something about it? If there was literally like women being fucking raped in the streets and killed in the streets
About to say you can't see it, but I'm sipping a mug just with my eyes wide open, like, I wonder who is going to do something. Couldn't be me.
and taken into grooming gangs by men in another country, who's going to stop them? Exactly. It's gonna be other men with guns. It's gonna be good men that are gonna handle it. It's always been like that for like all of history. And until we have, and I actually don't even know if this would solve the problem. But I was gonna say until we have Gundams, it's gonna be fucking like that. And I think even with Gundams, there probably still would be a difference. I think men would still be better at piloting Gundams.
About to say we don't have Gundams, but we do have guns. I don't know where you're from, but I know where. Actually, no, you did a gun thing. Yeah, it's like I'm telling you right now. What's the number one way to stop a bad man with the gun? A good man with the gun. Let's be real here.
Probably just based on some kind of I don't know, some aggression, like aggression levels, or some kind of just being better at mentally prepared for combat or something. I don't know. And again, that's not to say that like women suck. I'm not saying that. Women have other skills that men aren't as good at. Or
Facts.
or are you just
Facts.
engagement farming, hoping more men send you money and thirst over your? Yeah, I mean, this is just, yeah. I mean, if you don't believe, if you're not a raging feminist that hates men, then obviously you're just grifting. You're just saying nice things about men, not because you actually care about men in your life, but because you want money. Yeah.
I find it weird because not to take away from this or anything, but I find it weird because it's like that with every position you can possibly have. If you have a position that is contrary to somebody else's position, for some reason they do not believe that you can have that position without getting something from it, which doesn't make sense to me. Because it wasn't like this a while ago, and this is why I feel like when people just start making shit up and keep people throwing it around everywhere, like Grifter, for instance, I feel like they're using the word wrong, but they don't know what they're talking about, and then they'll say shit like this, and it's like, yeah, what are we talking about here? Like, you really don't think I can have this opinion at all? Like, why? I don't know. I can't even fathom what you're trying to get out of this and how you believe that someone couldn't just have this normal basic opinion. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't compute. But whatever, I'm not gonna rack my just smack the shit out of my mic. Sorry.
Obviously. Thanks for the follow. Jesus, thank you.
That was great.
The what? Talking about losing followers when these two tweets were probably your best performing tweets. Yeah, they probably did gain more followers from this than lost, I'm guessing. But you still lose people, right? And it's the same thing with like when I do a video about Ukraine and I give like my actual take on it. Like there's gonna be people that leave because they don't agree with it. But yeah, I mean, but then there's also gonna be people that like that you're being honest about it. So it's kind of it's whatever. And then you say you hate feminism because not needed in the West when women are actively losing their rights in real time. Well, what do you mean by that? I'd love to ask these people what they mean about actively losing their rights in real time, because I'm pretty sure I know what they're talking about. I think there's a lot of women that are against that, and it's not about women losing their rights at all. In fact, like you can make a little mental exercise about this. It's complicated. Maybe I'll go into another time. Anyway, Kizu types says and with the Joe Biden meme, and says, "Oh, sorry, let me rephrase. You're a loser and desperate for male validation because your views are tanking. Hope this helps." God damn.
Long-time YouTube watcher, decided to get it from the source.
Yeah, what's up, Jesus? Thank you so much, man. Why is it always personal attacks? Because they can't attack your argument. That's why.
Yeah, I was about to get into that. They can't attack your argument because their argument makes absolutely no sense, and it's easily debunked with common logic. Oh, fuck. Easily debunked with common logic. So, they like to paint you as other shit. And they're just like, see, this person decided to attack me for blah, 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 blah. When in reality, you were strawmanning. And that's another thing that people get really emotional and when they're argumentative. So what they'll do, at least from what I've noticed, so obviously it's not everybody, but this is what I've noticed. They will strawman. They will say your strawman is what you are actually advocating for. That person will get flustered and be like, that's not, well, they won't say that's not what I'm arguing, but they will engage in the strawman as if that's what they were arguing, because they want to try to clear up everything that you're saying, even though that's not what you were saying. And then they go from there. And it's like, it ends up never being a productive conversation anyway.
Easiest way to like, basically you try to discredit the other person. You try to discredit them, make them look like they don't know what they're talking about. That way you don't have to address the actual argument that they have. Character assassination is a common tactic. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's very common to just be like, oh, like you're grifting, because like what do you say against that? What do you say? You're like, oh, I believe this. Oh, you're grifting. I'm not. Well, yeah, you are. No, I'm not. I'm not grifting. You are grifting, but I'm not. What makes you think I'm grifting? Yeah, you're grifting. That's how you literally cannot argue against it. That's why I started. That's why my new tactic is when they do that to me, I just do the same thing back. And dude, they get so mad. I think the sexual revolution was a
Flustered.
watershed moment, or most of modern society's ills. Well, like prior to that, right? Prior to the sexual revolution, a lot of sex involved responsibility or the possibility of responsibility, right? Delicacy Rune, thank you so much for the 5 gift subs. Thank you. And when you kind of like take away responsibility and when you make it an accident, right? Like, oh, it's an accident that this happened, but I can clean it up. It's another symptom of running away from accountability and responsibility. Yeah, because prior, in order to like actually engage in that, you had to have the responsibility of like a family. I mean, that's not all the time, but that's kind of what society led people towards. And even then, like after that, you have things like abortion, which is like, well, you know, like if it fucks up, like whatever, we'll just kill it, right?
What a way! Hold on, let me. What a way to end it. If it's abortion, they'll just fucking kill it. I don't know why I find that so funny. Anyway, that was really about it. I just wanted to go through it. I thought it was pretty cool. Good video, good video.